Let me tell you a secret. Scrumban doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that you can't use Scrum with Kanban. Yet each time you do it, it will always be different. When you say, I'm doing Scrumban, it means you simply mix the two. One Scrumban is never equal to another. Hi, I'm Maria, your Pro Kanban trainer, and this is the Agile State of Mind. Welcome. In 2008, Corey Ladas published a book titled Scrumban, Essays on Kanban Systems for Lean Development. The era of Scrumban began. It was working to create a transition method for teams so they can move from Scrum to Kanban. His work popularized the concept of a Scrumban, a hybrid method. Yet it was in 2008. Much has changed since. We have new iterations of Scrum and also new Kanban guides emerged. So, what do we do now? I get asked quite a lot about this, to do a video on Scrumban and what is Scrumban. So, here I am. Today, I will explain how to make the most of implementing Kanban with Scrum. Think about it like cooking. Scrum is your recipe. Define ingredients and steps, prescription, while Kanban is your kitchen management system. So you can follow a recipe from Scrum, while also organizing your kitchen flow to improve efficiency. And they solve different problems. I hope you get the idea. Let's see how that works. So usually what I see is that the teams understand Scrum better. We have the Scrum artifacts, the roles, the events. It is prescribed somehow. We have a cadence and it works. When it comes to Kanban, there are some misconceptions. A lot of misconceptions, actually. People usually think there's a board, you do Kanban. That's not entirely true. So there are some core elements in Kanban that if you understand them, will make it so much more easy. So definition of Kanban. Kanban is a strategy for flow optimization. So it's not a framework. That's why I sometimes get those questions like, we were doing Scrum, we had all those prescribed things and events, and suddenly we are a bit lost. What do we do? This Kanban seems unorganized. Yes, because it's not a framework. It's a strategy for a better flow optimization. We will get back to this. Then there's the theory. So it's based on empiricism, it's based on lean thinking, systems thinking. Then we have those 3 core practices of Kanban, important to understand. 1 is defining and visualizing the workflow. 2 is actively managing items in a workflow. And 3, improving this workflow. This is important to understand. So we know that it's not merely the board, it's all the policies and making them explicit. So where Scrum and Kanban meet. When I coach teams and we do Scrum, we usually see some wastes, right? Some bottlenecks, some long queues. The typical one would be the ready for QA, and then there are those anti-patterns, like suddenly everything is started, nothing is finished, many things in progress. You can see this lack of focus. You can see long lines and how people hand over. I have this user story, I hand over it to another person, how sometimes columns can be reflecting really the people working as opposed to the flow it should go through when we think about the work. When I work with the teams, I can see that it would really help to implement some Kanban practices that will help us eliminate the waste, eliminate the bottlenecks, make sure we not only start, but we finish the work earlier in the sprint. So here are some practical steps how to mix the two, Scrum with Kanban. So first, start with visualization. That will be the first step. You already have a board, I guess. So enhance your Scrum board to show the actual workflow states. Second point, introduce work in progress limits. And that's a tricky one. At first, just in the one column that has the longest queue. I like to start small. Then 3, actively manage the work in progress. When I read the Scrum with Kanban guide by Danielle Vacanti, this was the biggest breakthrough I had when working with Scrum and Kanban. It was like, okay, now I understand what's the value that Kanban provides. It's that you manage the work that's in progress and you actively manage it. So you look at it every day. When you run your daily, what do? You have this daily when everybody says their status. And sometimes we have this anti-pattern. And I really think it's an important anti-pattern. We go to Jira, we highlight the person, and we only see this person's work. So we lose track of all the work for the team. The team is over individual in technical good practices. So we value work as a team. We need to see the big picture. It's the systems thinking, where we are and what should be done today. What should we finish? As opposed to, oh, I'm doing this, I will be doing that. That's again. So actively managing the work in progress means looking at the board, seeing what's closest to be done, making sure it gets done, checking the item age, seeing, okay, this item has been here for 3 weeks, even though our sprints are 2 weeks, it's already been opened for more. What can we do to finish it? This is one of the best practices you can do. And really, it's about stop starting, start finishing, manage the work again and not the people. 4, maintain core Scrum events. Incorporating Kanban doesn't mean that you have to suddenly not do any events. So many teams struggle when they switch from Scrum to Kanban. It seems unorganized anymore. We don't have those meetings, opportunities for feedback loops. Keep the dailies, definitely, but do walk the board. You can watch my video here on how to do it. Lighter sprint planning, and then defining goals for your cadence. So stay organized, keep focused, and slowly add new things. 5. So when it comes to metrics, measure both velocity and throughput. So how many items per given period, so that it will be easier to later see that this actually is the same. It's really hard sometimes to convince somebody that just measuring the number of items will be enough for you to have a level of predictability, because people typically say, I have big items and small items, 1-day items, 1-hour items, but then I have this big thing that will take me 2 weeks. Yes, you can right size, but that's another topic. Even though they are different size, you will see that gives you the same predictability. So at the beginning, just measure both. You will see where you get. And make your team working agreements explicit. Make sure you do a collaborate meeting where you define those new working agreements. It doesn't have to be all at once. It can be start small, maybe do the daily different way. Maybe implement some WIP limit at the beginning, right? But write it down and make it collaborative. So even though you are the expert, you're guiding the team through this process. You create this meeting where you agree those working agreement, those policies, but you also have a great opportunity there to meet with everyone and have some teaching there, right? When the team gives you, okay, I don't understand why we do this. This is too much. This is too advanced. We don't understand this. It's a perfect moment to explain those things they don't understand, those things they have some pushback and resistance to do. I have written a step-by-step guide of how to implement this Scrum with Kanban approach. Subscribe to my Substack. It's over there. It will help you to go step by step what is really working at the beginning, how to bring the team on board with what you want to do, and how to do it collaboratively and understand if they are ready or not yet. So this is really good step-by-step guide. Follow me on Substack to get it. Also, just a reminder, I'm a pro Kanban trainer. You can contact me and we can do a Kanban training, a professional Kanban training in your company. It can be in different languages, Spanish, English, or Polish. So remember that that's an option as well, because really Kanban gets very misunderstood. Once you get the core of it, it's so much easier to do this. Let's continue with our video now. I would like to go beyond Scrumban, because I've noticed that discussions about combining Scrum with Kanban is labeled as Scrumban. But in my experience, this term can be very limiting. It's like there is a prescription. You tell me, this is what I need to do Scrumban. That doesn't exist. That's the secret and why I have decided to do this video. What we're really talking about is applying Scrum empirical process control with the Kanban system. And it will be always different, the way what one team needs, what different team needs, where you are when it comes to proficiency in both. That's why calling it just Scrumban, okay, it means you do both. How do you do them? Totally up to you. So I moved beyond seeing these as competing approaches. You have many of my videos, Scrum versus Kanban, saying that. And instead, I view them as complementary tools in the Agile toolkit. So I'm talking a lot as well on our role. So because then we talk about, Scrum Master in Kanban, does it make sense? We are a glue role. We glue people together, and we can also glue different tools, practices together to help people collaborate and work better. So remember, we are the glue to help glue things for our teams. And remember that you really need to look back and see, okay, this has worked, this didn't so much. How can we pivot and keep going? So now my question to you, have you tried complementing Scrum with Kanban? How did it work for you? And what challenges did you face? Write them in the comments. I would love to discuss about it. Also check out my Substack. We can have more conversation there. Remember that the journey of improvement is ongoing. Really think about, what can you finish today? Click on subscribe and like. That will help me a lot. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.